Hello and welcome to our August monthly council meeting. I'm Mayor Kate Macon and I'll now introduce my fellow councillors around the table. I have Deputy Mayor Laurie Hickey, Councillor Ruth Castrain, Councillor Joe Beard, Councillor Jamie Vogels, Councillor Geraldine Canady and Councillor Nick Cole. And we have managers and directors around the table around the tables tonight. My apologies. First off, we have Mr. Sean Broadbent, Director of Works and Services, Miss Justine Lindley, Director of Sustainability Development, Miss Belinda Bennett, Acting Manager of Environment and Emergency. Welcome, Belinda. Miss Katie McMahon, Manager of Economic and Prosperity. Number 5, Aaron Moyne, Manager of Planning and Building Services. Mr. Andrew Tenney, Director of Corporate and Community Services. And I also have Mr. Chris Essenjo, Managing Director in Civic Support. And I also have my Acting CEO, Mr. David Harrington, sitting beside me today. So we'll go straight into it. We'll go to our prayer. We ask for guidance and blessing on this council. May the true needs and well-being of our communities be our concern. Help us who serve us as leaders to remember that all our decisions are made in the best interest of the people, culture and the environment of the Corangamite Shire. Amen. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land around Corangamite Shire, the Eastern Maar and the Wadawurrung people. We pay our respects to all the Aboriginal elders and peoples past, present and emerging. Mr. CEO, do we have any apologies tonight?
No, we don't.
And do we have any conflicts of interest?
There are no conflicts of interest.
Excellent. Moving on to number 5, confirmation of minutes for the 23rd of July 2024. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Castrain, seconder. Councillor Cole. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. So we have a deputation tonight. I invite Mr. Kevin Johnson, from Manager of Midway Plantations, to come up and make his deputation. You have 5 minutes and please introduce yourself, Kevin. Thank you.
My name's Kevin Johnson. I'm the Manager of Midway Plantations. I'm based in Geelong, but I've been working with Midway for about 20 years now. And was involved 20 years ago with some of the plantation development in the Shire. And certainly at the head of a lot of the development that's been going on more recently in the last couple of years, I guess. But I just wanted to start tonight by saying I've had an opportunity now to meet with council a few times over the last couple of years, and to say that obviously you've got a tough job. I mean, you're probably too much today. People are not considering service. I think service to the community is a good thing. And with that, I've seen a lot of the, a lot of the interest and the passion that a lot of the council members have. So I've come to appreciate that over time. The other thing I've come to appreciate is probably some of the things that we've ignored in the past that have made us not as good a neighbours as we should be. We've been taking some steps to do more there, which I think that will continue. We're part of the Shire now, and we're a bigger part than we used to be even a couple of years ago. And I think with that, and with the strategy that you're putting forward, it's good to think about the opportunities that come with that as well. Before I came to Australia, I was in the southern US, and 75% of the forests there and plantations are run by farmers. And there's a lot of, it's a very kind of almost a free market. It's a bit harder to do that in Australia because you've got a lot of big players. But I do think that forestry does offer an opportunity for the Shire in the future. I really think that, that should be considered more in the strategy. We've had some, Midway has made a formal submission The Forest Products Association also made a submission, and certainly I would like you to consider those as part of the final strategy. But also to consider that Midway is very small, but also a part of the community, and that we can offer a lot more as well. When Midway sold its forest a couple of years ago to Otway Silver, they didn't just say, here they are, give us the money. They actually signed up Otway Silver to a 35-year wood supply agreement. So that's a big commitment these days. You really don't see that in wood supply agreements. So they definitely want to see their facility and forestry to continue for a very long time. And I was involved back in the big days of the MIS, where you had a lot of schemes to plant trees based on tax. And although carbon is driving a lot of the investment, particularly in new plantations, the core behind it, and really I'd say probably at least 70% of the value is coming from just selling those forest products and growing those trees. And the investors that are putting the money into those now are very much interested on a long-term horizon. So they're not really interested in 10 years and moving along. So I suppose I just wanted to say that, yeah, forestry is something worth considering, and growing the Shire and growing its products that come from it, and even increasing employment. I do think that will come with the scale as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for your presentation. Very much appreciated. We do not have any committee reports or planning reports tonight, so we'll move straight into officers' reports. Moving on to item 9.1, the Timboon Precinct Plan. Mr. Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I present Council with this report on the Timboon Precinct Plan. A final version of the plan has been prepared and is presented for Council's adoption, following public consultation to provide strategic directions and in response from feedback from the community on the town's vision for enhancing the public realm and open space within the Timboon Town Centre. The plan arises from previous strategic planning work and Council's Grow and Prosper framework, presenting a vision for the Timboon's Town Centre, with design recommendations for improvement and enhancement of the town centre, public realm, streets and public open space. Design principles have been established, supported by detailed actions and recommendations under specific themes, and the plan has also been informed by a movement and access study undertaken to identify opportunities within the precinct. The plan delivers a high-level urban design framework and incorporates an implementation plan with actions to deliver by council, land managers and also the private sector. A project working group chaired by yourself, Madam Mayor, has supported the preparation of the plan, and the project has been through two key consultation stages, being a community vision and ideas phase, along with community engagement on the draft plan itself. The input and feedback have been fundamental in shaping the plan, and the plan delivers upon key council priorities and is presented for adoption. The recommendations provided before you.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a move for that one, please? Councillor Vogels, do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey. Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, with Timboon rapidly becoming a place to be, I think it's timely that we re-examined the strategic direction of Timboon. The precinct plan helps ensure Timboon retains its character and infrastructure as infrastructure increases, and that the placement and types of infrastructure in line with community expectations and community needs. And so many thanks to all the community members who did engage with council in the many and various ways that were on offer, and are helping guide the final outcome of the precinct plan. This document will open opportunities and I'm sure will inspire ideas over the coming years, Madam Mayor. And it's good to include the access and movement study for long vehicle parking, pedestrian safety and the such through Timboon as well as part of this. But personally I'm of the belief a reimagining of Power Creek, enhancing its natural potential and thus making it a draw card and the centrepiece of town, the town surrounds. This should be the major focus moving forward, and I think would be a phenomenal outcome for Timboon.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Hickey?
I'm very happy to second this precinct plan. Mayor, the project working group have done an amazing job. I've sat through one of their meetings and there was a lot of ideas, a lot of enthusiasm from the general community around to develop this plan, which does certainly focus on the open spaces, on the trafficability, both vehicle and pedestrian around the precinct. It's looked at a lot of the design principles, and the community have recognised opportunities where the town can be beautified and to be made a lot more workable, particularly around that key intersection. So very happy to second the adoption of this precinct plan.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any other commentary? As Timboon is my hometown, it would be remiss of me not to say something. So I think this plan is great for Timboon. I remember Timboon as a sleepy little town that it was just a service town, and now look at it now. It's just grown in stature and it's grown in importance. But we can't do those things without plans, and that's why we need one of these precinct plans going forward. But it incorporates all the feedback from the community, and I want to thank the community for being involved with this plan. It's their ideas. This is their plan. This is not council's plan. It's their plan. It's their thought, their ideas, and this is why we have come up with this plan today. So thank you for all your input. It's really much appreciated. Key elements is improving the movement and access, as Councillor Vogels has said, enhancing public spaces and supporting sustainability and inclusive of growth. It's an integral part of Timboon and how it will be moved and shaped going forward. So, and if we have these plans in place and the document on the shelf, well, then we know where we could access money if we need to for grants and everything else like that. But we have a strategic idea of where things need to be placed within the town, which is just fantastic for the town, that is growing and going forwards in leaps and bounds. So more than happy to support this recommendation as well. So if there's no other commentary, councillors, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. We'll move on to item 9.2, the Grow Corangamite Sustaining Our Agriculture Future Agriculture Strategy. Mr. Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, through you, I present Council with this report on Grow Corangamite, being a new agricultural strategy for Council. Agriculture is the most significant and leading industry within Corangamite Shire, which is a key economic strength and source of future prosperity and opportunity. The strategy delivers a planning and economic development framework with a particular focus to plan for the use and development of agricultural land and the industry, to safeguard agriculture in Corangamite and to support a strong agricultural economy. In particular, the strategy outlines a vision for agriculture in the Shire, establishes directions, objectives and strategies, sets out actions for implementation, and will be used by Council to guide future decision-making, advocacy and investment attraction. In particular, the strategy provides an action plan, which includes the introduction of new local policy directions, to update the planning policy framework to better support the protection of agricultural land and guide planning decision making, and also the introduction of mapping which identifies productive agricultural land and farmland of strategic significance, both at a state and regional level, to be referred to in the municipal planning strategy and again to guide planning decision making, along with a range of other relevant planning and economic development actions. The strategy has been developed with input from an industry-based project reference group chaired by Councillor Canady and including Councillor Hickey, who used their knowledge and experience to contribute into the initial scoping study and the background report and ultimately the final strategy. Consultation has been undertaken across two main stages, being the release of the background report and timber plantation discussion paper in April-May 2024, followed by a public exhibition phase of the strategy in July and August. Submissions received have been considered and provided valuable input and helped inform the strategy itself. Following adoption of the strategy, a planning scheme amendment process will occur to implement the actions and give statutory effect to the strategy within the planning scheme by updating strategic direction and local policy. This will be further subject to a public exhibition process, and there's other actions arising from the strategy that will be considered further by Council too for their implementation. Preparation of the strategy is a significant strategic piece of work for Council and will provide important direction and actions to support the growth of the agricultural sector in Corangamite in the long term. Recommendations provided for you.
Thank you, Mr Warren. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Canady, do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey, Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have read the submissions and appreciate the feedback that we've gotten on this document. And Ms Johnson, thank you very much for your deputation tonight. I do appreciate the comments that you made and I took some notes. I would say, though, that we're not averse to new development, but we are beholden to our communities to ensure it occurs in a sagacious and prudent way. We need to ensure the continued prosperity of dairy, livestock and cropping that thrive in Corangamite because of the superior quality of the land we have and the climate. And that's what we're seeking with this document. We have tested agricultural sectors that have provided generations of prosperity in Corangamite, have provided a significant proportion of our population with jobs and generated business and a processing sector. They've built and sustained our communities. With our communities, we are the custodians of a superior food production zone where cropping, meat production and especially dairy provide 32% of the jobs and generated GVAP of $914 million in 2023. That represents 28% of the total GVAP for Southwest Victoria. But this document looks to the future and is aimed at protection of strategic agricultural land and further development of and investment in our strong agricultural economy. Of course, the future is largely unknown, but we can use research and validated data to help us make better plans and better decisions for our communities. We can do something to support clearer direction on future development. That can occur through better and more considered planning controls that provide more clear direction. We know the land in Corangamite is superior to many other areas. There are few areas that are so well suited to sustainable food production. We have to do what we can to ensure that Corangamite land is used appropriately and that new development is compatible with and does not impact in the form of risk or constraint on our current key industry sectors and ensuring that that is minimised. Looking at the directions underpinning the strategy, those are planning for strategically significant agricultural land, future-proofing the agricultural sector, and 3, strengthening the Shire's thriving agricultural economy. All these are part of our council plan. If we go to the Community Vision 2040, our communities asked for future-proofing and strengthening, and this document shows that we've listened. The action plan includes introduction of new local policy directions and improved policy to protect agricultural land and mapping which identifies farmland of strategic importance and collaboration with stakeholders and industry partners to attract local investment. So you see the strategy recognises the significance and comparative advantages of our superior land and climate, which supports thriving dairy, livestock and cropping industries and in turn our communities. It means to protect our strategically important farmland and ensure competing land uses are properly managed. And I say that particularly in relation to the emerging timber industry. It seeks greater transparency of plans for new development and improved, clearer planning direction. This strategy is an important means of sustaining and protecting our key agricultural sectors and our communities into the future, but is also open to properly managed new development. And I think that's the key thing about the planning policy strengthening that we're looking at, is that we're not averse to other development. We just need it to be managed and planned well. I thank SGS Economics for providing very sound research and the members of the PRG for sharing their insights, knowledge and skills. That was highly valued and supported this a lot of the work that went into this document. I think this is a very strong document and I think it's some of the best work that we've done in council over this term. So obviously I support the recommendation that's before us.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Hickey?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I've got a few crosses out now, such as Councillor Kennedy's summing up of the project. I would just add, though, however, that the process through the project working group has been a delight or a privilege to be part of. To bring so many people together with different perspectives on agriculture was really enlightening and certainly encouraging, and it was a good opportunity to actually be part of this strategy. You, as mentioned, the key industry is agriculture throughout our shire, through production of agricultural products, and also for employment and the on-spin of the service industries that supply the agricultural industry. This basically sets out a refreshed planning objectives, and so I'm very happy to be part of this strategy, and very happy to second the adoption of it, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any other commentary on what's sitting before us at the moment? Councillor Vogels? Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you. I'll follow on with a lot of the same, but I'll go ahead anyway. So that strengthening and sustaining of our agricultural future is what it's all about. And then this is the reason we've embarked on this project. So reading the report gives an understanding of the role agriculture plays in driving our community, and also some directions on how we can protect and enhance our land and our communities into the future. Our prosperity is underpinned by our productive use of the farmlands, and we maximise the capabilities and our ability to value add to our primary produce is key to where we are at Corangamite. As we play to our strengths and generate employment and security, and this is why we have a thriving, connected and equitable community in Corangamite. And this strategy, this Shire-wide strategy, this is a Shire-wide strategy, but I'll concentrate on my ward, which is the coastal ward, and this is where the land use change is concentrated. So it's in my ward, we're staring down the barrel of a major change of land use with $200 million of foreign money purchasing land for hardwood plantations. And this money was dedicated for southwest Victoria, which is a large area, but it seems to be targeted to the coastal ward of the Corangamite Shire. And we'll be picking up approximately 10,000 hectares, give or take. And reading through the hardwood industry submissions, I fail to see anywhere that shows a benefit to the Corangamite Shire. From this current foreign investment land acquisition that is targeting high value agricultural land in the Hastbury region of our shire, I'm aware that the forest industry needs to increase its footprint to supply us with high value building materials into the future, and I'm fairly sure though that its own strategic direction says that they need to be purchasing lower value agricultural land, and so far this has not been the case. They have in fact been buying high value agricultural land with lower value capital improved at an inflated price, and thus distorting the market and pricing our farmers out, who would be the future drivers of the economy. In fact, land in the southern Corangamite can and does generate $6,000 a hectare per year, with large economic multipliers as our products are value added to as they move up through our economy. And nowhere do we hear about what hardwood will generate within our shire, because remember, this is Grow Corangamite strategy. Grow Corangamite, not grow the region or the state or anything. It's Grow Corangamite. So I'll just roughly do a couple of figures in my head. So if 70% of the money is not carbon credits, and carbon credits are roughly about $1,500 worth of value, if my figures may be wrong, but that would put it up, say, $6,000 over 12 years generated from a blue gum per hectare plantation, as opposed to $6,000 per year from what's currently happens in our region. So there's a massive big difference to our economy, which has multiplying effects, which I believe will be staring at probably around 100 job losses within our shire from the current use with the hardwood plantations probably, and I would think, a gain of 0 jobs, because this is a Grow Corangamite strategy and we're looking at what has happening in Corangamite. And this submission also refers to potential building of a factory using wood pulp to make engineered wood. And this is actually a great initiative, and it will actually value add to a raw product, but this product needs to come from lower value agricultural land, not high value agricultural land in the Corangamite Shire, although there may well be some opportunities in Southwest Victoria to increase the footprint and to value add to their products, which I think might be built in Glenelg. If it is built, will it stand up on its own 2 feet, or does it need to be propped up by taxpayer monies to get this factory viable, would be a question I would be asking. What I do agree with the Forestry Commission is that none of us benefit from an increase in regulation, red tape and bureaucracy overburden, and that the Minister has the power to oversee the land use change. So I'm not sure which is more troubling, and that is whether the Minister has not been briefed on what's happening with this land acquisition, or whether the Minister has been briefed and is given it the tick that it's okay. For this land use change is a net loss on economic terms for the Corangamite Shire, and this land is a net loss on local jobs in the Corangamite Shire. And this land use change, just as importantly, is a net loss for the social and well-being of our communities and our future. So to grow and prosper, we need to grow Corangamite. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Beard?
Wow, thank you through you, Madam Mayor. It's almost a drop the mic then moment, I think, for Councillor Vogels then. But thank you to my previous councillors. I've certainly, a few things that I was going to mention tonight, I've completely put a line through, and I'm just going to wing this. I think we need to remember, and it was highlighted then by Councillor Vogels, that this is a Shire-wide strategy, and we have various farming practices, the difference in farming practices from the north of the Shire to the south. And even though we're taking a strategic lens Shire-wide, this really did come about because of some of the impacts that we were noticing, the change of farming practices in the south. Thank you, Mr Johnson, for your deputation. I know that you fly the flag well for Midway, and good on you for continuing to show up. Thank you. But our job as councillors, and we can't forget that, is to represent the whole of our municipality and to make decisions based on strategic direction, and to help inform policy wherever we can, and to help just, I guess, keep us on that straight and narrow for the future of our communities. It can't be about the now or what happened yesterday. It's got to be about the future. And I look at this, and a lot of our talk is around protection of farmland, but also what about the protection of our communities who run off the business of those farms. And I can already see, and I know we've already talked about it, is some of the impacts that we're seeing across some of our smaller communities who rely on agriculture. So for me, thank you to the project reference group who sat down, and we had significant people at that table who are experts, far more experts in this than what I am, who helped get this to the table where it's at now, to the community who provided feedback, and to our farmers, to our agricultural producers who continue day in and day out, and the hard yards that they put in. It's pretty formidable. What we're doing here tonight is sending this. It's a motion that we've got your back, and for the future of our communities in the future. So I fully support the motion, and thank you to my councillors for their words previously. And I know that you guys get it because you're farmers yourselves. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Any other commentary? If not, I put the record. Oh, sorry, Councillor Cole, you're a bit slow. Mark, come on now.
Sorry, I completely endorse what all the other people have said for me. But one thing about the Western District in general, I think Corangamite being the beating heart of the Western District, it's a very stable agricultural community. We don't suffer from boom bust to the extent of a lot of other communities. I know if you look around, it's been pointed out to me several times recently and a long time ago, but there are a lot of very old families living in the area that have been here generationally. You don't find that in a lot of other communities. You go up into the Riverina up north and there's a lot of boom bust. People get in, go broke, someone else comes in. And same up in Queensland, but a lot of that is now going corporate, unfortunately. As I said, having said that, the boom bust situation this year is a bit tougher with the lack of water and access to water from the people to fill their dams, and it's getting very much harder and harder to maintain that, especially down south in the agricultural areas, dairy areas, sorry. So it's one of the points that a lot of places don't understand is that generational security that has been in this area for a long, long time and makes it a very stable agricultural area and just keeps producing fine fibre, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Nothing else? I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.3, Planning Scheme Amendment C65 Cora Camperdown Production Precinct Master Plan. Mr. Moyne.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Another long title. I present Council with this report on Planning Scheme Amendment C65. Planning Scheme Amendment has been drafted to implement policy, zone and planning control changes into the Corangamite Planning Scheme as a key implementation action of the Camperdown Production Precinct Master Plan. To undertake the amendment, Council must resolve to seek authorisation from the Minister for Planning and undertake public exhibition of the amendment in accordance with the Planning and Environment Act. Council adopted the Master Plan in February this year, which provides a vision, strategic directions and actions to facilitate the delivery of a high-quality industrial precinct, which caters for new development and investment and unlocks land by addressing servicing, land use and infrastructure challenges. One of the priorities of the Master Plan is to facilitate unlocking land for business and provide an attractive option for investors, building upon Corangamite's agricultural strengths and also strengthening the local economy and creating job opportunities. The amendment specifically seeks to update the municipal planning strategy, introduce new industrial policy for the precinct itself, rezone to the land to the north of the precinct from farming zone to industrial 1 zone, apply the design and development overlay to help implement design guidelines and requirements, and introduce the adopted master plan as a background document within the planning scheme. Following any authorisation, the amendment will be subject to exhibition for a minimum of 4 weeks, which presents an opportunity for submissions to be received and considered by Council. Any unresolved submissions must be referred to Planning Panels Victoria for further consideration. Advancement of the Planning Scheme Amendment represents another key milestone in the statutory implementation of the Master Plan to support future growth and development of the precinct itself. The recommendations provided before you.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, we have a recommendation. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Hickey. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Destrain. Councillor Hickey.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. The Camperdown Production Precinct Planning Scheme Amendment C65 is a worthwhile document. The whole project is really very exciting, and I've been delighted to be close to the development of the precinct. The aim is to provide investment-ready blocks of land for developers to walk into, and already Corangamite Shire has contributed to the infrastructure to enable that to happen. The idea is to make sure that we've got we can create employment by enhancing agricultural production through the manufacturing side of it and bringing the industry to the area. The amendment scheme will enable us to make those adjustments that are necessary to the planning scheme, and therefore I'm happy to support the amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Destrain.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This is another exciting step in the life of the Camperdown Production Precinct, which began several years ago. And we've obviously, Council adopted the master plan earlier this year, and now this is the next stage in submitting it to the Minister so that we can do these planning changes. As Councillor Hickey said, it's really important that we have land that is developer ready. We're actually seeking business growth in the Shire, and this will certainly help to strengthen our local economy and job creation. There is a significant amount of funding is required to complete this project, to bring it to fruition, and council has certainly identified as one of their top priorities in their advocacy work at State Parliament last week. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Is there anything else, councillors? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.4, Draft Victorian Transmission Plan Guidelines and Renewable Energy Zone Study Area Submission. Mr. Moyne, I think you've given me the longest titles all night tonight. Thank you very much.
I don't think they get shorter. So, again, through you, Madam Mayor, I present Council with this report, which presents a council submission on the VicGrid Draft Victorian Transmission Plan Guidelines and Renewable Energy Zone Study Area, noting the limited public consultation timeline of 30 days, which closed on the 25th of August 2024. A council submission has been made by the CEO, and this report presents the submission for council's endorsement. The council submission has been prepared to again build upon previous submissions by council and ongoing involvement, issues and interests in relation to renewable energy and transmission planning. The submission considered council's interests, strategic priorities and issues, along with those of regional communities who will be directly impacted by the transmission plan and future renewable energy zone declaration. The submission has been broken into relevant sections, highlighting and emphasising the importance of the agricultural industry to the local and regional economy, with its growth priority for council as opposed to future renewable energy development. The submission highlights council's position in relation to the identification of renewable energy zone study areas, in which the majority of the Shire has been identified as either a Tier 1 most suitable or Tier 2 suitable area for investigation. Renewable energy investigation and development is not supported in the central and southern part of the Shire on identified state significant farmland, which also holds high population concentration and environmental values. The northern portion of the Shire does potentially present limited investigation and development potential. Other items are also raised around the development of the transmission plan and ongoing importance of consultation and engagement with affected communities and landowners who will live with the legacy impacts of these projects and land use change. Preparation of the guidelines and the renewable energy zone study areas will be used to produce the 2025 Victorian transmission plan and future declared RES areas, with it fundamental that council continue to be involved and advocate through this process. Recommendations provided for.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Canady. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Castrain. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to thank Mr. Moyne and Ms. Lindley and their teams for the huge volume of background work they've done to prepare this submission. I know the VTP and RES materials and the guidelines released for feedback are very extensive and very technical and exhausting to work through and understand. So you've just done an incredible job with this submission, especially as there was a very limited time frame to get that work done. But this is extremely important advocacy work for Corangamite Shire. Like, the extent and the scale of the RES study areas are alarming, with Tier 1 and Tier 2 declared across the majority of the Shire. The VTP and RES zones will have an enormous physical, social and economic and community impact wherever they're declared. So to support our communities, we must do all we can to engage with the authorities in a productive way and all the matters that are of concern to us, and to ensure that local and regional interests and priorities are considered, and to highlight the key matters. For us, those are being the protection of strategically important agricultural land and the proper location of renewable infrastructure. It is disappointing, as Mr. Moyne said, that the engagement from VTIC and RES to date has been limited, and it's fair to point out that in the submission, because the communities haven't really been given adequate opportunity to even understand some of the material that's been presented, and to have enough time, to be able to respond in a productive way. But in doing this, we have to do all we can to achieve the best outcome possible for the Shire and to try to protect the interests of our communities. I'm very pleased that submission has been forthright in declaring the council position that renewable energy zones are not welcome in the southern part of the Shire, that where we've identified state land of strategic importance in the state and also nationally. I think the agricultural strategy that we've just adopted has provided really valuable background data and research to help inform this position. So from here on, I can only hope that our submission resonates and that the ultimate outcome is right and proper.
Thank you, Councillor Canadian. Councillor Castray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I think Councillor Hickey said it earlier, don't speak after Councillor Kennedy because you have lots of strikeouts through your notes, and I think you summed it up really well, Councillor Kennedy. I think we're certainly very concerned about the lack of consultation that Corangamite has had from Big Grid, as well as the short turnaround times that yourself and Mr Moyne mentioned. I mentioned before that we had been in Parliament week before last, and we were fortunate, several councillors and Ms Lindley had the opportunity to meet with Alistair Parker, who is the newly appointed CEO for Big Grid. He was very interested in what we were saying about the issues around Corangamite Shire and our obviously very high productive agricultural land in the southern part of the Shire. He did say that the mapping, which has got, as we mentioned, all of Corangamite apart from a small bit around the Great Ocean Road and the Western District Lakes, has been declared Tier 1 or Tier 2. He did say they were starting big and they were going to refine and the renewable energy zone. So we made it quite clear to him that we felt the southern part of the Shire was not an appropriate location. We also had an opportunity to speak with Minister Lily D'Ambrosio and spoke to her particularly around the planning restrictions on the 1 kilometre buffer from wind farms and solar energy. So hopefully those meetings will lead to something. There is going to be an energy forum. It's going to be held in Timboon on the 5th of September from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And in the Timboon Hall, and I'm pleased to say that Big Grid are going to be attending that evening as well as other speakers. So I'd encourage anyone to come along and take part. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Castray. Is there anyone else? Councillor Beard?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. As council, I think we would be certainly tossed out if we didn't do what our due diligence is around. I guess we have to. Major component of what we do is we consult, we engage, and ultimately we have to listen to our constituents. 30-day consultation period where they're actually coming out to inform our area of what the impacts are going to be or potentially what is involved, which has been outlined in our submission. It's just not good enough. Back in 2021, Big Grid became part of a state government initiative through DECA. They've had plenty of years to figure out how they're going to engage with the community, and yet that expectation is just a given for us. So thank you to Mr Moyne for your words in your submission. I think they're well and truly loud and strong and very reflective of how we feel. Very reflective, I think, of those people who are potentially impacted feel. It was raised before in an earlier agenda item of just how tough our agricultural producers are doing at the moment. This would be the last thing on their mind with everything they're dealing with at the moment. Within a 30-day time frame, some of them wouldn't even know what Big Grid even was, let alone what the impacts were going to be going forward. I think there's certainly a one-track mind with the government around their their commitment to the Victorian renewable energy targets, and I've said that quite a lot now in terms of the projects that are just getting ticked off by the minister and seeing the impacts on that land that they're being built on, whether it be solar, battery, and of course wind towers. There hasn't been a thought process to what that impact is to our state, let alone national significant form of agriculture. I mean, it is identified as state and national significance. So why it just conflicts? It just really does my head in. That this is a situation wherein And we are aware of it far more than what our constituents are, and yet we didn't have the time to really pull this together in a time constraint too, with everything else that's going on around heading into caretaker period. The impact that it's had on our staff. So I can only imagine why there hasn't been much engagement from the agriculture sector, because a lot of them didn't even know about it. That's not on us. That's all we can do is take that back as feedback. But I really don't feel that they're wanting to hear much more from us anyway, because it feels like, as it has been for the last few years, that deadlines are made up. So I only hope that this submission isn't on deaf ears, and that it is actually taken with respect, and then that's respect for our ratepayers too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Cole?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, as I said before, the councillors have covered it very well. The only thing I'll bang on about is my pet bugbear with Bitgrid, and the fact that if I have a line that needs replacing on my farm, a private line, I have no option. It has to go underground. It costs me a lot of money in comparison. I have to do it. The other thing I'll note is that if there's a new housing estate going in anywhere, lines have to go underground. They say they don't like the industrial look. We have to put up with this new industrial look out here in the country. Having not seen it before, we're not happy with it. I know most people I know don't like the look of the ASCOM, the power line that runs to Portland. It's a real industrial blight on the landscape. Most people comment about it that I know about. And it's just one rule for one and one rule for another, as far as I can see. The fact that we can't get them to put it underground, yet we have to do it. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Anything else? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I'll move on to item 9.5, fees and charges policy. That's nice, short and sharp. Thank you, Mr. Tenney. All yours.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. The item before you proposes an update to the fees and charges policy, which was last reviewed in May 2021. The policy applies to all fees and charges that are listed in Council's fees and charges schedule, as well as the setting of any new fee or charge. This policy provides officers with guidance when setting Council's fees and charges. Part of the process in reviewing this policy involved undertaking a gender impact assessment, which has informed proposed changes to the policy. Officers now have an active obligation in the policy to ensure that our fees are inclusive of everyone in the community. Additionally, to promote equitable access, our policy now expressly permits the use of tiered pricing or subsidies where relevant. This approach will help us provide affordable and equitable services. Lastly, the policy includes an obligation to review the fees and charges annually during the budget process to ensure they remain equitable for all members of our community. And this assessment is done both when the fee is initially set and also considered annually. Councillors, the recommendations are before you.
Thank you, Mr. Tenney. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do we have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard, Councillor Higgins, your seconder. Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Tenney. He's pretty much outlined it all in his opening remarks. It's fairly administrative with minimal changes, so more than happy to move that recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hickey.
Yes, very much policy change. Just a couple of points I'd pick up in that it has made it easier for officers to administer. It is far more equitable. It's a lot easier to understand. It's affordable and provides value for money. So for those reasons, I'm very happy to support the updated policy.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Anything else, councillors? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to item 9.6, Committees of Council Policy Review. Mr. Asenjo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Committees of Council play a vital role in the running of Council operations and management of Council assets. Corangamite Shire is grateful for the time and dedication that committee members contribute to the Council and their community, many of whom give up their time in voluntary capacity. It is important to note that the management of committees within Council are governed by legislation and policies that promote good governance, accountability and efficiency. The Committees of Council policy has been reviewed and remains relevant. However, based on the review, there are some changes proposed to this policy. They include improved alignment with the Local Government Act 2020, clearer defining of committee reporting obligations under the Local Government Act 2020, enhanced definition of joint delegated committees, which consist of more than one local government area, the use of more contemporary language and minor changes to grammar. Madam Mayor and Councillors, the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Messenger. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Australian, I think I saw a pen go up for that one. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cole, Councillor Australian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And as the previous policy, there are changes, number of changes through this one, but are mainly administrative, and particularly around the joint delegated committee. There's just a little bit more clarification there, so happy to move.
Thank you, Councillor Australian. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, it's mainly procedural this, but I will encourage people to still volunteer for committees and get on and help their local community. And I think sometimes it's just a bit more paperwork in doing it, unfortunately, but it's still a worthy cause to get on and help volunteer in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other commentary? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 9.7, Light Fleet Policy Revocation. Mr. Broadbent.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This report relates to the revocation of the Council Light Fleet Vehicle Policy. Current policy was adopted by Council in October 21 and guides the management of Council's light vehicle fleet. The current policy makes reference to the mayoral vehicle, which has resulted in the requirement of a council policy. It is proposed the reference to the mayoral vehicle will be removed, enabling more appropriate classification as an organisational policy. It's important to note there is no proposed change to the use of the mayoral vehicle. The use of the provision will be managed under existing separate council policies. I confirm it is standard practice among local government authorities that light fleet policies are organisational policies rather than council policies, as they are operational in nature. They recommended this policy is rescinded, noting the policy will subsequently become an organisational policy. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Broadbent. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover? Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey. Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think I was pretty quick to put my hand up then.
You
Any
were.
policy that diverts from us straight through as an organisational policy has got to be a good thing. And yeah, happy with the oversight with the site that's over this one. So thank you. I'm happy to move that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey.
Happy to support the recommendation also. It's just it's a movement within the organisation itself. Yeah, very little out there looking to change. So happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Anyone else? If not, put that vote to a recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Carried. 9.8, Special Charge Scheme, Final Cost, New Curb and Channel in Dover Street, Cobden. Mr. Broadbent.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This report refers to the completion of the curb and channel in Dover Street, Cobden, from north of Sylvester Road to Nyland Street. At the meeting on the 24th of October 2023, Council declared a special charge scheme for these works. Costs have now been finalised as part of the scheme and are marginally less than the estimated at the time of declaration. The cost of the works was estimated at just over $18,000, with final costs coming in just under $18,000. This is a result of a minor reduction in the contribution from the benefiting property owners to just under $300 based on the overall costs. It is minor, but it's recommended that Council vary the cost of the special charge scheme and seek contribution from benefiting property owners as per the attached schedule. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Broadbent. Councillor, there's a recommendation. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. We always comment it's positive to see these declared special charge schemes come back within budget, and with a slight saving is even better. So thank you to Mr. Kelly and his team on that delivery of that project. To be honest, I've had some really positive feedback. So when there's been a benefit to the community, it's great when you get that feedback. So congrats to the team on that, and even better when we have a positive outcome monetary wise too. So happy to move that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey.
No, just to congratulate those involved to come in on time and under budget, which is something rarely seen these days. So yeah, congratulations to the team, and it enhances Dover Street. So yeah, it's a good outcome.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Mr. Kelly does it again. He's got a good strike rate, so he's done it again. So well done. Any other commentary? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I move on to 9.9, lease renewal at 10 Shadforth Street in Terang. Mr. Broadbent.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. This report relates to the proposed lease for 10 Shadforth Street, Terang, otherwise known as Terang Drill Hall. The building is currently occupied by Terang Resources, who operate an opportunity shop from the premises. The commercial lease has been in place with Terang Resources since January 2010, with the current agreement set to expire in December this year. In accordance with the Retail Lease Act, Terang Resources has notified Council of their intention to enter into a new lease for the premises. Council officers reviewed the new lease fee payable in accordance with Council's property leasing policy, also in consultation with external valuers, Optimum Property. It was determined that $19,000 was the current market value for the level area of the rental for rental purposes. Due to the net community benefit provided by the opportunity shop, offers applied rental subsidy in accordance with the property leasing policy. The subsidy resulted in an annual lease of $19,000 being reduced to $6,000 at $6,011. An additional option exists, however, for Council to set the lease in line with the existing rental fee of $134 per annum with a 3% annual increment in recognition of the importance Terang Resources has to the Terang and district community. This would see the annual lease fee set at $138 at the commencement of a new agreement. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Broadbent. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a Councillor Kennedy?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to put forward an alternate motion, please.
Yeah, sure. What is your alternate motion?
So the alternate motion is that the annual lease fee be set in accordance with option 2 within the report, which is to continue with existing rental charge with 3% annual increments, resulting in $138 per annum at the commencement of the new agreement. 2, advertise the intention to enter into a lease agreement with the Terang Drill Hall located at 10 Shadforth Street, Terang, for the purpose of a retail shop and seek submissions as per the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020. 3, if no submissions are received, Council delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer to enter into a lease agreement for 10 Shadforth Street, Terang, and negotiate the terms and conditions as per Council's leasing policy. And 4, authorise the Common Seal of Council to be affixed to the lease agreement.
Do I have a seconder for the alternate motion? Councillor Strain. Councillor Kennedy, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, certainly some decisions do depend on the aspect from which they're viewed. We obviously have our policy settings for council's property leasing and the commercial elements of a release renewal and cost to council. All of those things we need to be thinking about, and they were obviously mentioned in the report. But in this case, we have a volunteer organisation that operates a community op shop that allows utilisation of a meeting room in the building free of charge to a number of other local groups. Many of our decisions consider and value community benefit. At Terang Resources, many activities are being undertaken and providing community benefit in spades. They've proved to be an excellent tenant and without obligation have made improvements to the building. Their donation of almost $950,000 to the Terang and district community since their establishment is just utterly stunning. The thing that I'm most impressed with is the volunteerism, the effort and the sheer goodwill that comes from this organisation. It cannot be quantified, and the value to the community is immeasurable. We should not impose a burden that will hinder that vital work from Terang Resources. It's just so incredibly valuable to so many people in our community. My alternate motion begs your support in this regard. Obviously, the peppercorn red is the right decision here. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Strain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, I wholeheartedly support Councillor Kennedy's motion and the amount of $138. I think Terang Resources are very good tenants and they certainly provide an amazing service to the people of Terang. And I think probably never before, we've seen the cost of living pressures on our communities and this sort of business. They're offering low cost household items to the community, including access to food parcels, which is really great. And as well, I think you have to remember that if we didn't have op shops and providing the service they do, how much of these goods go to landfill. So I think it's really important. They've done an amazing job, $950,000 into the Shireen community, and I would rather the Shireen community get use of that $6,000 or $19,000 than coming into council coffers. So happily to support Councillor Canada's motion.
Thank you, Councillor Constrain. Anyone else? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. I'll move on to item 9.10, the 2024-2025 road sealing contract. Mr. Broadbent.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Council maintains 914 kilometres of sealed road, and this report seeks to award the annual road sealing contract for local roads throughout Warrnambool and Corangamite Shire. This is the 9th year of a joint sealing contract between Warrnambool City Council and Corangamite Council. As per previous years, both councils contribute only to the works in their relevant shires. This year's contract will cover 69 kilometres of Corangamite Shire's local sealed roads, which is approximately 7.5% of the network. The tenders received have been evaluated in line with Council's procurement policy, with criteria including price, past performance, quality assurance, and local content. 4 compliant tenders were received, all pre-qualified road servicing works with the Department of Transport. The tender evaluation panel completed the assessment and determined the best overall value for both councils was the tender submitted by Inroads Proprietary Limited. Inroads is a recognised sealing contractor in the market, was successfully delivered for both councils sealing programs over numerous years, including the 23-24 contract. I can confirm the tender price is within both councils' budgets. It's recommended the Corangamite Council's budget saving of approximately $41,000 be used for other road maintenance activities to ensure the requirements of the roads recovery funding are being met. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Broadbent. Councillor, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard, do I have a seconder? Councillor Canady, Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. And this is an ongoing positive relationship that we've had with Warrnambool City. This goes through a very rigorous panel evaluation, and obviously consisted of both staff from Corangamite Shire as well as Warrnambool, so it was very transparent and equal. Always fabulous when it comes in under budget, and I think the redirection of funds, as just outlined by Mr. Broadbent, is certainly very responsible of council to go with that recommendation. It's great to see, as I said, that continued partnership with our neighbouring council. It always seems to give us more bang for our buck. We do have more local roads, obviously, than them, significant more local roads, but then again, our costs means that we're probably putting in more, but it still does make better sense to combine our two organisations. The fact that it goes through the stringent process it does through the evaluation process, more than happy to go with the recommendation of Inroads being the successful tenderer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I always say you should never speak after Councillor Beard. She always covers everything, when, as you have just now, Councillor Beard. But yes, this has certainly been a very successful collaboration with Warrnambool City for 9 years now, and it's delivered a lot of efficiencies and savings. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense for us to have this relationship with them to achieve those efficiencies and savings. And like Councillor Beard, I do very much support the evaluation process and trust it's very rigorous. So I certainly support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Anyone else? No. Oh, Councillor Cole, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say and congratulate the Shire on doing the repairs. Pity that other government bodies weren't repairing some of the roads around the district. That would be a good thing. Get some of the potholes and bad roads repaired. I like to think we're keeping in front of the 8 ball. I was asked this question a while ago: how do we pick the difference between a Vic Roads road and a Shire road? And that's, well, the best way probably is to see that Vic roads tend to have 80-kilometre signs all along them, and ours don't. So I wish we could get them up to scratch again. So.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. If there's no one else,
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, just through right of reply, I will just say, just to anyone that is out there listening, it can be a bit confusing. When we say local roads, it often means the roads that are local. It's actually the roads that locally we are responsible for as Corangamite Shire, not the roads, the arterial network that the state government are responsible for. So even though we use the terminology local, it is Corangamite local owned and that's on our asset register, not the ones that are at the obligation of the state. So thank you, Councillor Cole. It is often down to the speed zone and often the potholes, but we do continue to monitor our assets of our local roads very, very stringently, and we do back our budgets each year with that in mind. So just wanted to confirm that that's where those roads are. Thank you.
thank you, Councillor Beard, for that right of reply. Anyone else? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. We'll move on to item 9.11, contract 2025-016, Curtis Catchment Flood Study. Miss Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to award the contract for the Curtis Flood Study. So council in partnership with Corangamite CMA and Northern Shire are looking to undertake a flood study on the Curtis River catchment. The flood study will involve undertaking modelling as well as mapping flood extents and levels for a range of rainfall events and assessing the impact of that flooding on roads and properties. So this is really valuable information. It assists us and other emergency agencies to be able to plan for emergencies, to be able to predict when floods are going to happen and understand what the impact is going to be. It will inform a planning scheme amendment to be able to ensure that the land controls consider flood risks, including future flood risks. It will help the community to be able to plan for flood emergencies, and it will help inform infrastructure upgrades, particularly things like mitigation, like upgrades to drainage, where we can have an impact on reducing that flood risk. Ultimately, the purpose of the flood study is really to reduce threat to property owners by having this information available to us. The council advertised for a tender to engage a consultant to undertake the flood study. We received 4 submissions which were assessed by a tender evaluation panel in accordance with council's procurement policy. The submission from Water Technology came out highest during that assessment. It fully costs the proposal and delivers the project brief in full. The methodology is well thought out and includes some innovative approaches that we can get some cost-effective assessment of some of those flood impacts. The Water Technology obviously have a lot of experience delivering flood studies of this type, having done several across the region. And the submission is within council's budget, noting that we've been fortunate enough to receive $260,000 for grants to be able to undertake the flood study, plus an additional $60,000 from council's budget. For these reasons, that the tender evaluation panel are recommending that Water Technology are awarded the contract, and the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Miss Bennett. Councillor, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Vogels, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Beard, Councillor Vogels.
Thank you through you, Madam Mayor. No, this is good. It's a bit ironic that we're doing a flood study in a green drought, but that's the way it rolls. I'm guessing this is LiDAR that'll be going over to give a small, like a really high value, highly accurate hydrology or height report through the Curtis. It'll be very handy information for the Curtis Coordinator Committee, which will probably pretty keen to get their hands on this once we've done it for them. But we do share information back and forth, so this is good. And probably into the future, we'll pick up Scotts Creek, Corangamite catchment area as well, which I think would supply half the water to the Curtis system through this part of the Shire. So happy to move that. And I think these are good things moving forward, because floods will be a big issue, and it's good to have your drainage systems at an appropriate standard to cope.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. As the council representative on the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, this has been spoken about at length over quite some time now. And I know that everyone around that table is really supportive of this project. And the best part is it's a partnership. We can't do this sort of thing on our own, but there's an expectation by a lot of people, whether it be community members or even agencies, that we should do it. So it's great to see that we've got a significant partnership by gaining a grant from Emergency Management Victoria, obviously the DECA and through the Corangamite CMA are also contributing. So this will be a great, this will just be a great detailed report and a pile of information, as Councillor Vogel said, that a lot of people are going to be going to find really beneficial, and it does help inform a lot of our risk mitigation around flooding, but also just around planning. So it's going to be a really useful tool, and as I said, you can't beat when you get to do it in a partnership sense, and it just takes the heat off it all being on council's shoulders at the end of the day. So more than happy to support this, and look, we've taken this through a budget process for ourselves, so we've talked about it at length, but just the benefits of this is going to be really, it's going to be really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Any other commentary? Councillor?
I just want to ask a question, if I can, through you, and apologies, Ms Bennett, without notice. Are Mine Council contributing anything directly to the cost of the study?
So the tender has some options for Moyne. It's up to them to make a decision around whether they want to contribute that to get some outputs directly for them. So, which we can do that through a contract variation. So we'll have that discussion with them.
I did wonder what the output that meant, but I thought they might have made a contribution to the study itself. But no, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Constrain. If there's no other commentary, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. I move on to item 9.12, Camperdown Theatre Complex Transformation Project. Ms McMahon.
Thanks, Mayor. So the Camperdown Theatre Complex is a much-loved community asset for Corangamite Shire. It delivers an important community role for a wide range of community members, such as hosting events, theatre, music nights, movie nights, library, meeting spaces, such as the council meeting tonight. A master plan was developed in 2021, which recommended that the facility becomes a central point for community use and entrepreneurial growth, whilst leveraging a more modern library. We recently completed the next stage of the work required to progress this project, which included development of a business case, cost-benefit analysis, staging plan, and project brief. As part of this, we engaged with key stakeholders, including existing users, hirers, industry representatives, education providers, and also potential users. Given that the master plan and initial studies were undertaken in 2020, so pre-COVID, and during 2021, so during pandemic restrictions, the aim of the recent engagement was to confirm if the focus of the master plan still met the community's aspirations. We received positive feedback for the transformation project and heard that the community wants the design to enable more activation and increased use, but must also recognise and support the heritage significance of the complex. The current analysis provides a redefined focus with community at the centre of the complex transformation, supported by the interconnected themes of connection, economy, creativity and learning. The recommendation before Council tonight is to approve the business case, cost-benefit analysis, staging plan, concept designs and project brief for the Camperdown Theatre Complex, which will then enable Council to advocate for funding towards this transformational project.
Thank you, Ms McMahon. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Hickey, do I have a seconder? Councillor Castrone. Councillor Hickey?
Hey, thank you, Mayor. This Camperdown Theatre Complex is a very important part of the fabric of Camperdown. Of course, the Theatre Royal is home to the award-winning Camperdown Theatre Company, and this is despite some of the outdated facilities around the back and the actors' change rooms and some of the accesses around the place. The transformation project seeks to or plans to address a lot of these areas and provide a multi-use facility that will transform underutilised spaces into more significant areas that can be utilised by many members of the community. Of course, it will require continued advocacy for monies to continue with this project, but having a plan in place initially is a great start. Working through the business case, the cost benefit analysis to the community, and the concept and design of the new facility has been thoroughly undertaken, and it is quite an exciting prospect. And it would be fabulous if this transformation project does receive funding to go ahead with it. So we're very happy to approve the business case. You may.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Yes, this is a really exciting project, and we're sitting here this evening in the Kalara Centre, which is part of the complex. And I think anybody who's walked through the Theatre Royal complex would agree with me that it's a bit of a rabbit warren. There are a lot of issues, particularly around accessibility up to the first floor above the Theatre Royal, and the rooms extending are, as we mentioned, are underused. And so I think it's certainly a big project. We've got to cost it into 5 stages, and it has a bottom line of $15.6 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but we need to start somewhere, and we'll start on stage 1. I'm really delighted, being a crazy library person, to see that an upgraded and contemporary library space has been provided. So I think that's in about stage 3. So I wouldn't mind seeing that bump forward a little bit if we can. But it's an exciting project, and one, as has been said, is a much loved community asset, and the Theatre Royal itself will be 100 years old in 1927. So it would be great to see if we could get some work started prior to that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. And the library's got a little report up in the paper this week saying that they're the hubs to go to, the places that people love to visit.
Yes, so it's fabulous. The numbers visiting libraries are increasing, so well-loved spaces.
They are indeed. Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Is there any other commentary? Councillor Cole?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm fully supporting this. I think it's a wonderful thing, the upgrade, because as Councillor Castrain just said, it's a bit of a rabbit warren in lots of spots around here at the moment. It needs a refresh and an update. However, the external section of the building is not being touched in any way or altered in any way, and which is a good thing, I think, because it is one of the amazing buildings of the Shire, and one of the amazing buildings within Victoria. I know there is a book coming out soon, and the photographer was around here taking photographs of the building, got an amazing shot, he said. So I hope it'll make the cut as being one of the true outstanding buildings in Camperdown. We're truly lucky to have an extraordinary range of historical buildings, architectural significance in the town, this area being one of them. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. There's no other commentary. I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I'll move on to item 9.13, Port Campbell Town Centre Revitalisation Project Update. Ms McMahon.
So a report before you tonight provides an update on the Port Campbell Town Centre Revitalisation Project. The project includes a number of separate works packages, with the first now nearing completion. The foreshore will soon be reopened to the public, with a milestone event scheduled for 6th of September to commemorate the meeting that milestone in the morning, and a thank you event scheduled for the community in the evening. The integrated artwork component of the project is progressing, with the community mosaic workshop scheduled for September. The report outlines some minor revisions to the artwork contract to align the project completion dates with other work packages, and also to vary the light and sound installation art component. The project revises the existing parking provision across the town, and a key objective of the Port Campbell project is to improve the functionality of the town, with the potential for timed parking for parts of the town, and also to redirect oversized vehicles to park at the edges of the town, encouraging visitors to walk into the town past the businesses. It is proposed to develop a parking policy for Port Campbell that would review existing parking provisions to take into consideration issues such as local law requirements, signage, and legal implications. Council is also implementing support and stimulus projects, including activations, winter hours, operating maps, decorative solar lights, targeted business workshops, and tourism and spend local campaigns and competitions. The overall Port Campbell project is running marginally over budget due to unforeseen costs that are beyond the project's scope. For example, unmapped or incorrectly mapped service infrastructure. As a result, the project may require some budget adjustments. Budget allocation is being tightly administered through value management practices to contain expenditure within works packages wherever possible. However, these unforeseen costs are beyond project scope and require additional project contingency budget to ensure the project has sufficient budget to address potential contingencies in the remaining months. Councillors, there is a recommendation for you.
Thank you, Ms McMahon. Councillor, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Vogels, do I have a seconder for that one, please? Yeah.
Can I just ask what the motion Councillor Vogels was moving, Madam Mayor? Is it the recommendation or is there
Moving the recommendation, Councillor Constrain, but we will be requesting a small adjustment to the parking investigation on meters, which I don't think would require an alternate motion.
No,
Or just an adjustment.
I just wanted clarification that they're developing a parking policy for Port Campbell. I was going to suggest that does not include paid time parking options.
Yes. So would that require an alternate motion?
We can do an amendment.
So, an
Amendment?
amendment?
We'll just do amendment to the recommendation
So-
and put that in for you.
Yes, if that's
No,
okay.
that's fine. It can be an amendment or else it can just be your motion if you want to, you're happy to include those words.
I'll just move the officer's motion with a slight amendment to the parking. I'll speak to that if that's okay.
Yep. Are you happy to second that one then?
Yes,
Councillor
I think so.
You think so? Well, it would be only to remove the investigation of paid parking in Port Campbell.
Yes, happy with that, Councillor
Yes.
Constrain? Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Vogels, would you like to speak to the recommendation and your amendment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So Port Campbell, again, with the streetscape. So it's all going along really well with the foreshore getting opened up on the 6th of September, I think, for public use again. So we can keep the rabbits off it for a bit longer before they eat it as quick as it gets put down. It's looking really good. So big tick, big win there at the moment. But now we're talking about the main street part of it, which is we're sort of on the hump of that at the moment, and we sort of need to keep chugging along. So one of the things that's been highlighted in this report that I'll speak to first would be that the fact that we've encountered a whole lot of utilities underground that are not where they're supposed to be and not as deep as they're supposed to be. So the sort of raised some unforeseen costs that are beyond the scope of the project, and they'll require additional contingency budget allocation to facilitate the relocation and redesign around this, and with some other small bits as well. So we'll be seeking which is in the officer recommendation, a contingency budget adjustment. So since it's been going along, there's been a hell of a lot of changes made on the fly to keep things rolling along and on budget, and it's been extremely well done, up to date. But now we've hit some snags that we're just going to have to put some more funding into try and keep this up. So on the parking side of things, which is just a small part of the motion and just something that pops out there that I think a lot of alarm bells start ringing when people read through it. And the recommendation does involve the development of a parking policy for Port Campbell. And this includes a review of any existing parking provisions and is needed because no one wants to see a return to the old practices of long vehicles covering driveways and multiple parking spaces on the foreshore, or even helicopters landing on the Morris Street car park, or buses parking on the foreshore blocking the view. While the report mentions the consideration of parking meter options, I would like to see that option removed, Madam Mayor, from the investigation, particularly on the streets of Port Campbell, but absolutely we need to look at time zones and measure stop cars, buses parking on the foreshore parking areas and oversized camper vans and vehicles parking in the wrong locations. So I'd like to move the recommendation be amended to remove the option for parking meters in Port Campbell from consideration in the policy, and that the introduction of meters in town is not something we would personally like to see. So that's the alternate-ish.
amended motion. How's that sound? Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Castrain.
I love an ish type of amendment. That works well.
That fly in local government, doesn't it?
It does. Councillor Vogels has summed it up really well. I think this is as we can see, it's a multi-million-dollar project which has been running now for quite a few months. But we are, I think, almost on the downward slide, which I'm sure Ms Linley and Ms McMahon and their staff will probably be very grateful to celebrate that first milestone on the 6th of September. It has been a long project underway, and I must admit I'm very grateful to the shopkeepers and the business owners in Port Campbell who have been very patient, and I know that we're going to end up with an absolutely amazing result down there. And with regards to the parking, I only a couple of months ago, I think, or a month ago, that we saw paid parking being mooted for Great Ocean Road, the 12 Apostles, and the locals were up in arms. So goodness knows if they'd read this report and had seen mention of paid parking in the middle of Port Campbell, I think there would have almost been a riot. So I'm very grateful to Councillor Vogels who's agreed to take that out. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Councillors, anyone? Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you. And when first read this agenda item, I was a bit sceptical because, as everyone knows, for many years we've been staring this project down the barrel, and it's amazing that we're almost over the finish line. And I'm going to give credit where credit's due, and that's to the team, to Miss Linley and to Katie and her team, and to also the team that's down in Port Campbell day in and day out that are seeing this evolve, and they're going over this with a fine-tooth comb, and then to the cent. I've questioned around contingencies and, where can we pull money from one to pay for the other and things like that. And really is in times of, living costs, the cost of inflation, we weren't immune to that either. Local government's not immune to that. Even CPI, nothing we do is in line with CPI, it's far more. So I appreciate the transparent briefings that we have, the fact that this is the most significant project that this council has ever taken or ever seen this amount of money. But that's for a reason. We committed to the Shipwreck Coast Master Plan over a decade ago, and that Port Campbell needed to be in line with what the terminology around world-class destination. You've got the 12 Apostles, but where they go and visit, where do they go and have lunch, where do they go and take that, that photo in a beautiful foreshore like Port Campbell? That's where they go. So we had to get it up to scratch. So whether we like it or not, this is going to be pretty formidable in terms of the projects that this council's been able to achieve. I just don't want our other communities or other organisations think that they're going to be left behind or forgotten about because you keep hearing, we continually keep investing in Port Campbell. This was a thing that we had to do for the whole region. This will be of benefit to the entire Corangamite community once this is over the line. So, but again, I just want to thank the team for the transparency. No stone has been left unturned. I know that you guys don't like having to come back and ask for more funding either. So what we're dealing with here is out of our control, and there's some legacy things that prehistoric, you could almost say, that these guys have discovered and having to deal with. So, and like Councillor Castrain said, and even Councillor Vogels, thank you to the community, Port Campbell, for just going on for the ride. It's been really significant, but we're almost there.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Vogels, yes.
Just to finish up, thank you, Madam Mayor. I will highlight that Port Campbell is not closed for business, and the shops are open, and if anyone wants to go down and support the businesses, they can always do with some extra support while the works are going on. There's plenty of space. There's 2 park down at Port Campbell. It's a little bit like the Wild West at the moment down there. It gets a whole different bit of a feel, but it's still the beautiful Port Campbell with the ocean. And on the 6th of September, after the foreshore part is fully open and stuff, we'll start seeing people be able to sit around on the beach and stuff as well. And we've also got some other initiatives to try and help business down there with the golden ticket coming up and some other things. So get down to Port Campbell and support them right now, actually, in the middle of winter. obviously it's normally quiet anyway, so get down there and have a crack, have a look, spend some money.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillors, anything else? Can I just say congratulations to Miss Lindley and Miss McMahon and your teams. We all know projects of this size do blow out, but for this to only be blown out so much as $500,000, I think that is a testament to you and your team. You have kept the reins very tight and made choices on the run and everything else like that. So thank you for all the work you are doing down there. It's just fantastic. And yes, to the community, they are going through pains at the moment, and we do appreciate you supporting us through this, what we are doing at the moment. But we're all here to celebrate on the 6th of September. There's a big function happening down there at the foreshore in the evening. Come along, have a barbecue, so there's some fun and games happening along for the kids and everyone else. So make sure you come along on the 6th of September down to the foreshore at Port Campbell and join in the celebrations of it being reopened to the public again. So thank you very much, team. Councillors, if there's nothing else, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I'll move on to item 9.14, community kitchen tables. Miss McMahon.
Thank you, Mayor. So just wanted to give an update on the recently hosted community kitchen table engagement sessions that we held, excuse me, in all towns across the Shire, where we asked the community to share their big picture ideas and what's important to them. So the big picture themes raised by the community did vary from town to town, but there were some common themes that emerged, including traffic and road safety, childcare, tourism, and particular opportunities through the rail trails, population retention, activities for our young people, activation through local events and festivals, additional town facilities and assets, and sustainability. So the feedback that we received through those sessions will be used to inform development of the next council plan and also a refresh of the 2040 community vision. Recommendation before you.
Thanks, Ms McMahon. Council, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Hickey, do I have a seconder, please? Well, Councillor Castrain, sorry, Councillor. Councillor Hickey.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. This is a real good news story. The community kitchen tables conducted across the 12 towns within Corangamite Shire, where the community was invited to come along and share with us their big, hairy, audacious goals and their asks for the towns that they live in. There were many ideas that came forward, and they're all been listed in front of you. You can see what is on offer, and they're very, very many and varied. It was a great opportunity for the community to actually get together and come along and think deeply about what was missing from their townships and from their communities, and it gave us the opportunity to be able to listen firsthand to what those concerns were. So I certainly would like to thank the community members who did come forward and spend their time with us and fill out the sticky notes and put them on the paper. And it's great to see it all being collated in a format now that's very easy to be read and digested. So you're very happy to support the outcome.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Castrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. And it's certainly interesting to read through the list and the diverse range of things that people believe, through their big picture thinking. And there's some great suggestions in there. And there's a couple, I think, that we can tick off. We took a look at Simpson about upgraded facilities at the footy club. Well, I think they've already, that's a big tick. I really appreciate that one. And there's one there about the Camperdown Theatre redevelopment. So another tick. So look, I thank people for stopping and having a chat, because we were dragging people off the street and harassing them as they walk past to come up with some of their visions of what they see the Shire going forward. So I think a really good exercise, and they came up with some very interesting suggestions for the community vision for the new council.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Thank you. Councillors, anything else? I'd just like to say thank you to all the staff members who come out to the 12 towns and joined us in these listening posts, or kitchen tables as they're called. They were fantastic to see staff out there and engaging with the community as well. But just to see the community at these kitchen tables was fantastic, and getting their ideas and getting them out of potholes and roads and everything else, and thinking big picture was a great way to celebrate this, and definitely a help us think of 2040 and our vision going forward. So thank you to everyone and thank you to all the staff that attended as well. So councillors, there's a recommendation before you. Can I please have a vote? All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you very much. And I'll move on to 9.15, Business Assistance Scheme. Ms McMahon.
Thank you, Mayor. So there is one business assistance scheme application recommended for approval tonight. It is a stream 2 of the BAS program, which is the Creative Industries and Placemaking stream. The application is for a community event, which is inviting the public to an open day to celebrate the 120 years since the opening of Hastbury House. The event is aiming to honour the importance of Hastbury House to the community and tell the community story and celebrate all who have walked through those gates. The funding assistance request is $2,000 and is recommended for council approval.
Thank you, Ms McMahon. Councillors, there is a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Canady. Thank you. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. And if you don't mind, just indulge me for a few minutes. I do want to speak to this one. Not that I don't speak any other time. That's the wrong thing for me to say, wasn't it? But no, look, this is a great opportunity. And I do want to make mention of Hastbury House's application. So 120 years that place is coming up. A lot of people don't even know what Hastbury House is, but it's the historic, what was the residence and consulting. It was a hospital. It was the original hospital of Cobden. And it's behind a beautiful maintained hedge, and it is now a 5-star luxury award-winning Hall of Fame in the Victorian Tourism Hall of Fame B&B now. But the history of Hastbury House, it's been beautifully ongoing. It's just evolving. It's been beautifully restored, and it's just luxurious. But it hasn't forgotten about the journey of where Hastbury House has come from. And I'm looking at Councillor Gastrain because I almost think that you may not be here if it wasn't for Hastbury House. Now, this is something you haven't known about. So back in the early days when Hastbury House the hospital first came about, I have written this down. It was Dr. Naylor, so in 1904. Now, it was in later after, sorry, that's a long time before you. But after Dr. Naylor, then we had a Dr. Alf Barrett. Now, any locals around Cobden and Camperdown remember the Dr. Barretts. He left the World War I and came and located in Cobden and was the primary surgeon and took residence of Hastbury House. It was then his son that then took over when he retired, and his son Bill Barrett, who was also very well known, took over, and that then became his residence once the Cobden Medical Centre opened, which is where Councillor Gastrain comes into. Your dad was a doctor at the Cobden Medical Centre.
Yeah, in partnership with Dr. Barrett.
So you wouldn't have actually ended up in Cobden if it wasn't for the original
House.
Dr. Barrett from Hastbury House.
There we go.
There we go.
Long boat.
So 120 years of celebrating. Mr. Mulholland's going to appreciate it, aren't you, Les, what I've just said? So 120 years, it's going to be a great community event. And if anyone hasn't ever been, as I said, behind that hedge, please do yourself a favour and get along to that event. And I'm just really rapt that as a council we can help support a project or an event such as that. So thank you to the Echo Dev team for helping support that. And I know that they got in contact with you guys to help with the arrangements of that event too, which again is a shout out to all community groups or organisations who are thinking about applying for any of these business assistance grants to give the team a call and they can help guide through that process. Thank you.
Councillor Beard. That was a very long, bold story. Well done. Councillor Canady.
Positive.
Yeah, it was a very positive. Well done.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing further to say.
Nothing. If there's nothing else, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, is there any other business you'd like to raise? Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to raise one matter. Last month I sat here and congratulated two of the Shire's girls heading to the Olympic Games and wished them luck. Well, one of them won gold, the first medal for Australia, and the other one won bronze. That's Grace Brown won gold on the deadly treadly, and Penny Smith won bronze on the for shooting, and an amazing effort. It put Camperdown on the map, in a lot of ways. People couldn't believe how well they did. I do remember I was asked by a reporter at one stage what was special about Buka, and I said, well, it's got 3 dormant volcanoes, a big lake, and a lot of talent. However, they did an extraordinarily wonderful thing. We welcomed Penny Smith back to Camperdown recently. She was in there with her medal. Councillor Castrain and I went along. They're quite heavy, those medals, aren't they?
Yeah.
And each medal has a bit of the Eiffel Tower in them too, which is quite an incredible thing to see. So Grace Brown is still over in Europe on the bike going around at the moment. So when she gets back to Australia, hopefully we will see her down here and be able to congratulate her as well. So they join a long list of Olympians that have done wonderful things in Corangamite, and next now is Paralympics going, and we've already had a gold medal quite a few years ago with Sandy Blythe, who was a Darren boy. So we wish them the best of luck. I don't think we have any Paralympians.
You've got Josh Hose.
But in this current games.
No, I don't think so.
So we wish them all the best of luck anyway with their events coming up. So thank you, that's why.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillors, any other business? So I would like to say thank you to Mr. Tenney for being with us for the last, I think it's 8 weeks. We've had you on loan, I would say, from Colac Otway. We've really enjoyed having you here. You've made it a great improvement, effort and everything else to fit in with us, and I hope we've left some lasting impressions on you. But thank you for joining us, and you're welcome anytime around our table. So thank you very much for being with us for the last 8 weeks. If there's no other general business, I would ask Mr. CEO, acting CEO, sorry, is there any questions from the online from us today?
There are no questions online. No.
Excellent. Open forum, is anyone in the gallery like to speak tonight? No? Nope. Okay. If not, thank you all for joining us online today. I really do appreciate it. Please be safe out there. The weather is supposed to be getting a little bit wild and woolly, so please take care. I will call for a motion to suspend standing orders, please, if I may. Councillor Hickey, Councillor Vogels, and thank you very much for everyone for listening and watching tonight, and we'll see you all next month. Thank you very much.